Well, hi there, Internet. My name's Court, and you've got courtside seats for my review of The Card Counter. Let's do it. The Card Counter is an action drama thriller from writer-director Paul Schrader and VVS Films. The movie stars Oscar Isaac, Tye Sheridan, Tiffany Haddish, and Willem Dafoe. Redemption is the long game in Paul Schrader's The Card Counter. Told with Schrader's trademark cinematic intensity, the revenge thriller tells the story of an ex-military interrogator turned gambler haunted by the ghosts of his past. This movie was not on my radar at all, but I was offered a screener, so I looked it up. Really liked the cast, had an interesting premise, and it was written and directed by Paul Schrader, who of course wrote Taxi Driver and Raging Bull. He also wrote and directed 2017's First Reformed, a movie I quite liked. And in a weird way, this flick almost feels like a spiritual sequel to that one. They're both slow burn dramas with loner male protagonists who have very specific agendas and outlooks on life. Now that I'm saying this out loud, that's just kind of a Paul Schrader trademark, I guess. And I quite enjoyed this film. On its surface, it's about a guy who's really good at playing poker and blackjack. And those card games do take up quite a bit of screen time, admittedly to the point of getting a little bit tedious for me, but there's a much darker, more sinister undercurrent sort of simmering and brooding under the surface, something that I found both fascinating and rather disturbing. I thought the cast here was really strong. I'm an Oscar Isaac fan. I really dig him in Star Wars, particularly The Force Awakens. I dug him in Annihilation. I loved him in Ex Machina. And I'm not quite ready to say, but this may be my favorite performance I've seen him give. It's very understated, but there is a really quiet intensity there. And he has a monologue about midway through the flick, which is just really impressive. Tiffany Haddish is mainly known as a comedic actress, though she has been branching out lately, and good for her, that's awesome. But she seemed like an odd choice for me for this movie. That said, she's not given a whole lot of dramatic heavy lifting to do, and her chemistry with Isaac really does crackle nicely. I've never been a huge fan of Tye Sheridan, not that I think he's bad, I always kind of find him to be fine. And I thought he was fine for much of this movie, but he has one scene, and it's one of the most intense scenes of the flick, where he's really, really good. Plus, they didn't make him wear a visor. Good for him. Willem Dafoe has very little screen time, but he's Willem Dafoe, and he makes it work, obviously. I really like the way this movie was shot. The colors of the casinos pop really nicely. And there's an absolutely beautiful shot of a couple of people walking through this sort of garden that's lit up with Christmas lights, and there's this really long tracking shot. It's absolutely gorgeous. We're also shown what I assume to be archive footage of intense interrogations at Abu Ghraib black site. I could be wrong about that. Maybe they just sort of reversed engineers these shots to make it look that way, but still, it's pretty disturbing. And there are certain flashback sequences that are shot in the style of VR. It's very weird, but weirdly it works in context. Now, I mentioned I found the amount of card playing here a little bit tedious, and I stand by that. There's also a decent amount of expository dialogue to help people in the audience who maybe don't know how to play these games understand the intricacies of them. And I get that you need that, but I did find it a little bit frustrating. That said, it wasn't nearly as pandering as Mathis's dialogue in Casino Royale explaining Texas Hold'em. And I love that movie, but man, those explanations were like borderline condescending to the audience. That said, in true Schrader form, the dialogue in this movie is very strong. Finally, for a movie as methodically paced as this one is, when it lets loose, as I've alluded to earlier, it gets really intense. There were 3 sequences in this film where, despite the fact that I knew I was watching a movie from the comfort of my own bed, I felt straight up intimidated. I absolutely recommend The Card Counter if you think it's your type of movie. It certainly won't work for everybody because it's so much of a slow burn, but when it hits, it really hits hard. Not to mention the great performances, the strong dialogue. Yeah, it's a recommendation for me, and the movie is getting a limited theatrical release on September 10th. Now, I don't have a proprietary rating system as of yet, so I'm just trying to figure out what I'm gonna give The Card Counter, and I think I'm gonna give The Card Counter a...
Look, it's the tell. He's bluffing.
Out of 10. So now I want to know, are you looking forward to The Card Counter? What's your favorite movie about gambling of all time? Whatever your thoughts, hit the comments below. Let's discuss. If you enjoyed this review, please smash that like button and give it a share if you really enjoyed it. It just helps the video reach more people, helps the channel grow. I appreciate it very much. And hey, why not take a second, do me a favor, click subscribe and ring that bell to subscribe to my channel for more movie reviews, entertainment news, trailer reactions, all that good stuff. Hope you guys are all safe and healthy. Thanks very much for watching. I will see you all in the next one. Take care.